Hi, I'm Ray Jones. I'm a professional songwriter, and today we're going to be breaking down the lyrics for Linkin Park's new song, Over Each Other.
All we are is talking over each other. Over each other.
There are three key things that I want you to think about as we analyze these lyrics. 1. Writing to enable a variety of interpretation. 2. The use of imagery throughout. And 3. The use of repetitive hanging phrases. Let's start.
This is the letter that I didn't write. Looking for color in the black and white.
Nice tone.
Skyscrapers we created on shaky ground. I'm trying to find my patience.
Let's pause there. The lyric, "This is the letter that I didn't write." It's starting off the song with a personal perspective from her point of view, provides some imagery in terms of what it might be like for her as a writer, thinking about the song or thinking about the emotions that she's going through. Something that writers do often in songs is try to bridge the gap between process of expressing their emotions or putting pen to paper, expressing what it feels like personally, and then abstracting from their personal emotions into what someone else's emotions might feel like around the same topic. The next lyric is looking for color in the black and white. I love this lyric. Color, black and white, very simple terms, very short, simple words, very relatable. The cool thing about this, black and white becomes an object. It's objectified. The black and white. It has that preposition the. We don't think of black and white in that way usually. We think of black and white as things aren't so black and white. To say the black and white, it paints this different sort of Pleasantville picture of things being mundane or boring, looking for color in the black and white, looking for excitement or color in the mundane is something we all can relate to. The next lyric is skyscrapers we created on shaky ground. Skyscrapers, gotta love them. We all work in them, we see them, we admire them. They're a symbol of industry and progress, success. Skyscrapers in a relationship can be something similar. It's also a grandiose word. It's uncommon. You don't hear it in a lot of songs. And they're huge and massive, and so the fact that they're on shaky ground is pretty troublesome. The image that this creates is really powerful and moving. As we'll find out, this is the beginning of the theme of the song about conflict and relationship that is driven by the fundamentals or the foundation of it being compromised or being at risk. The next lyric is, I'm trying to find my patience. This lyric starts to descend from the repetitive hanging phrases that she had where she was leaving the listener guessing and wanting to understand what was going to happen next. Right before the chorus, we're hearing her go lower in pitch. That allows for some anticipation for her to go higher and sing more powerfully during the chorus. All right, let's listen to more.
But you won't let me breathe, and I'm not ever right.
Even the right, her vowels are really interesting.
Over each other, there's nothing underneath. It's all a waste of time. All we are is talking over each other. Over each other.
The next lyrics are, but you won't let me breathe and I'm not ever right. Here she's starting to put some blame on the other person in the relationship or whatever the topic of her frustration is. This idea of not being right gives us more context in terms of there being opportunity. Being right creates the opportunity that maybe will give her breath. In this song, because of the many ways you can interpret the lyrics, the you could be anyone. Of course, the video paints it as a romantic or significant other relationship, but it could be some version of herself. The you could be a family member, friend. The you could be some other abstract topic. I do like the fact that right rhymes with right, which was the first phrase of the song. So the idea of this self-expression as a writer that she may have been conveying in the first phrase, now this really vulnerable line around being right in the relationship. It really strengthens that first lyric of self-expression and continues to invite the listener into a more intimate experience with her. All we are is talking. This is a cool phrase too. There was this preacher once when I was living in the Bay Area, and he said, talking about talking. What does it mean to be talking about talking? All we are is talking is something that could be relating to the fact that all we do every day is talk. We talk to ourselves, we talk to each other. I also think this part of the song is where she starts to get out of a sort of monologue vibe, where the first verse and the first part of the chorus are really reflections of how she's thinking and how she's feeling, introducing the song as this self-expression. And this phrase, all we are is talking, can also be a part of that, but because of the word talking, it starts to bring in some interactivity to the song. I start to see the monologue shift here. These lines, but you won't let me breathe, and I'm not ever right. All we are is talking. There's no rhyme here, so that's atypical from a popular song standpoint. And so it really complements this hanging phrase element that's consistent in this song. We saw in the first verse where those notes and pitches are all the same for the phrases there. And now we have these phrases where there's no rhyming. In the first verse, you're wanting to hear more because of the pitch. In this chorus, you're wanting to hear more because there's no rhyme. And so you're anticipating for there to be a rhyme because as a listener, you're so used to there being one. Over Each Other is where we're starting to see all of the key principles of this song come together in a really powerful way. Over each other in terms of the relationship, over each other in terms of the imagery of the skyscraper and the shaky ground, over each other in terms of the preceding phrase where they're talking over each other. The next line is there's nothing underneath. More visual imagery around the over-under concept. There's nothing underneath the skyscraper, nothing underneath the talking, nothing underneath them. There's nothing underneath, it's all a waste of time. These words start to rhyme with the first half of the chorus. And so the structure sort of creates a first part, second part, where the first part rhymes with the second part. What this does is it really allows for the over each other to stand out both times. And that repetition is what gets stuck in the listener's brain. That repetition is what emphasizes her point. Let's listen to more. Adding in some distortion, treatment on her vocals. It's that mixture of smooth and gritty. Ooh, ska. Had a little grit in that voice there. The first line of the second verse is reaching for satellites, but all along. I love this phrase. It's a great way to start a second verse. We've heard about skyscrapers, and if you thought skyscrapers were tall, when you're reaching for satellites, you're even taller. So it's an abstraction and it stretches us. This line also is an example of varied amount of interpretations that exist in a lot of the phrases. Satellites here could be in reference to the communication aspect. So the fact that they're not talking or they're talking over each other. Skyscrapers and satellites, both S words, so we see them link and relate to each other in that way. All along, the word long or along could be elongated. It could be in reference to the height and the length of the skyscrapers and the satellites, but it's also elongating the phrase, building and bridging into the second phrase. It's another way of intensifying these hanging phrases. The next line is, under your breath, you're saying that I was wrong. We have more over visuals here, and she's referencing the talking, so under your breath. She's also referencing the breath that she doesn't have. The other person has breath, but she doesn't have breath. Underneath someone's breath, things are done in a really tense way. They're done without being forthright and communicative. That's shaky ground. I like that wrong is referencing the chorus. Wrong here is relating to her interest in being right. The next line here is the skyscrapers we created are coming down. Well, we knew that was going to happen. The shaky ground, all this conflict, nothingness that's supporting them. The skyscrapers were created in the first verse, and now they're coming down here. So oftentimes in writing, you don't conclude the tension and the emotions that are being expressed, and you leave it as a mystery, and you leave it open to interpretation. Because the theme and the title of the song are over each other, it makes more sense to provide some explanation of conclusion. That's what she's doing here. The line after that is, and free fall into the pavement. I think this is a really curious line here, specifically the choice to use the word pavement. I think it relates to that industrial component where you have skyscrapers, satellites, and now pavement. I think it starts to give reason as to why there was conflict in the relationship. Some of this industrial stuff maybe is getting in the way. Let's listen to more. The vowels came back there on the other. It's like a U, other, instead of the E, other. The first line of the bridge, which is repeated, is, are we over each other? Here is where she's using some creative liberties to step back this conclusionary tone that most of the song had. Maybe because she's free falling now, maybe she's allowed to ask the question because she feels more free.
Let's finish the song.
I can't go to sleep. I lie awake at night. I'm so tired of talking over each other.
Another mixing treatment there on her voice, kind of like a telephone voice.
We don't have to be talking over each other. Over each other.
Her voice becomes kind of another instrument in the band. All right, let's talk about that. She said earlier nothing was underneath. Maybe she's hoping that the other person has a clue, or maybe because they're right all the time, or they think they're right all the time, they know what's underneath. This is another usage of her creative liberties as she's sort of coming out of the song with this last chorus. So there's this interplay between her having conclusions or not knowing things, and maybe there's this chance that someone else does. This is similar to the technique she used during the bridge when she made "Are we over each other?" a question instead of a conclusion. Which leads us into the next line, I wanna see your side. This is one of the more optimistic, positive phrases of the song, and especially interest in the other person, because the rest of the song seems so dark and gloomy with respect to their relationship. This song plays all kinds of head games with respect to interpretations, with this phrasing of say what's underneath, you have the capability of doing that, I wanna see your side, maybe suggesting that the other side is underneath and the other person has some causation to the shaky foundation. And the last line is, we don't have to be talking. Here again, it's another positive, optimistic line to finish out the song. Here she's saying, we don't have to be that way. We can be something else. We can choose to be something else. Okay, I really enjoyed breaking down this song. The writer was able to write lyrics that varied in interpretation, used imagery throughout like skyscrapers, satellites, and pavement, and used repetitive hanging phrases that left the listener anticipating more. Don't forget to comment below with what song you'd like me to do next, and please like and subscribe.